Hey there, it's BoardGameDave, and I'm back from a brief little hiatus, but now school's out, summer's in full swing, and I'm very much looking forward to getting back into my usual weekly upload schedule. So, today with that in mind, we're going to take a look at the 20 games that I played last month, and each game I'm going to talk about a little bit, and then I'll rank them in order from games that I liked to games that I really loved that I played last month. By the way, I used a website called pubmeeple.com to do these rankings, as I always do anytime I'm ranking anything. It's a fantastic website. It's great for board games. If you don't know about it, I'll leave a link down in the description. All right, let's jump right in. Number 20 was a game called Kitty Eye the Duel. Now, this is a game I got for free in a goodie bag from Level Up Retreat earlier this year. It's got a great cover, great packaging aesthetic. It's a very simple game for two players in which you're trying to kill the other player, I suppose, in a sword fight. Each turn you play two cards, your first move and your second move, and you're basically just moving up and down on this grid and trying to outwit your opponent and play the right cards to attack them. And that's it. It's a great game. It's a nice game. It's not my favorite game, but I like it plenty. Number 19 was a game called Just One. This is a great cooperative game for a lot of players. Now, the other day we had 10 people total here at the house playing board games, and I thought this would be a great one for us to play together. It normally plays 3 to 7 players, but you grab a few phones and you can make it work. I've talked about this game a lot, but basically the premise is a player is looking at this card and picks a number like 3, right? Lawyer. Now, they don't know what the word is, but everybody else is going to write down a one-word clue like court or judge or something like that. The catch is before the player who has the card, held up, before they look at the words, everybody's going to reveal their words, and anything that matches, like if I had also written plug for this word, you'd erase it. So any matches are removed, and then the guesser has to figure out the word based on the clues that are left. It's great. Again, a fantastic, very lightweight family game, great icebreaker game. Just not one that, thrills me necessarily, but I do think it's a really good game for that kind of environment. Number 18 was a game called Hues and Cues. And again, this is a fantastic family game, perfect for casual gamers or non-gamers. It is so easy to understand. You can play it with toddlers. You can play it with octogenarians and above. It's so simple. So, the game is made up of a board that has hundreds of colors on it like this, and then a whole bunch of cards, and each card has 4 colors on it like this, with a little icon to tell you where it is on the board, L4, right? So I pick one of these colors, and my goal is to get all the other players to put their little token somewhere near that color. So let's say I have, this orangish yellowish color right here, I suppose. And I said peach or something, right? One word clue. Everyone's gonna put their cone where they think it should go. And then we go one more round and I'm gonna give a 2-word clue. So maybe like pale tangerine or something, right? And then you put your other cone and you score points based on how close you were. And as the clue giver, I get points for how many cones are within that grid around my color, if that makes sense. It's Hues and Cues. I've talked about it a lot before on this channel. It's a great family game. Definitely worth checking out. Number 17 was a game called Spotted. This is a very basic speed slapping game where there's a whole bunch of cards, these circular cards with a whole bunch of icons on them. Now, the catch with this game is that every single card has exactly one icon or image in common with every other card in the deck. It's kind of a crazy system, but I don't know. Let's say I had this card and somebody else had this card, right? The yin yang is the matching symbol. So the basic way to play it is everyone gets one of those circular cards and there's a stack. The deck is in the middle and you are just looking for the match between your card and the cards in the middle. When you find it, you slap it, you take that card, and now you have a new card and you're looking for matches, so on and so forth. So what's really interesting about this game though is there's other variants. So sometimes you're giving cards to other players or you're looking for matches that other players have in their hand. Anyway, it's very simple. Again, a basic game you can teach to anybody. It says ages 7 and up. I wouldn't have this ranked so high, except that every time I get it out and play with the right people, it gets so rowdy and loud, and it's just very exciting and very fun. So Spotted, super fun. Plus there's like Spotted hiking and Harry Potter and holidays and Halloween and all different sorts of themes. So it's a game that's very fun with lots of variants like baseball, apparently. Number 16 was Tumbling Dice. Now, this is a game that our friends Nick and Jay brought over when we had all those people over for a game night, and it was a perfect game for this setting because it was like casual gamers and non-gamers and, just a normal group of friends, not like hardcore gamers or whatever, and Tumbling Dice was fantastic. Now, it was the deluxe Eagle Griffin version, so I wonder if I can find a picture of that specific version. It was super, super nice, but the basic premise, here's a 3-year-old playing this game. You have a whole bunch of dice, and all you do is you tumble the dice. You toss them down this little ramp thing, and based on where it lands, that's what it scores times the pips shown on the die. So basically, this 2 times 3 is 6 points, right? The 5 times 3 is 15 points. If this blue 6 had landed here, it would be worth 24 points. That's it. That's the whole game. Now you can strategically try to knock other people's dice off the board and, finesse things that way. But literally that's all there is to it. But, it's very fun. It's very silly and goofy. And I don't know how much skill is involved, but yeah, great little game. And you play several rounds and that's how it goes. Oh yeah. And whoever's in last place gets a very special die. I think it's 6 or no, it's an 8-sided die. So you can kind of catch up. But anyway. That's Tumbling Dice. Number 15 was Hive Pocket. This is a game that Hannah and I played last month up in the Adirondacks. It is such a great little portable game that's kind of like chess, I suppose, sort of. Basically, you've got a queen bee and your opponent has a queen bee. It's a 2-player game. And as soon as a player's queen bee is surrounded, they lose. So that's the whole premise of the game. But what's really interesting is that each different bug has a different rule about how they move and how they can strategically help you surround the other player's bee. So grasshoppers hop across other ants or bugs. Ants can go as far as they want around the perimeter. These beetles can climb up and off of other things, and spiders move exactly 3 spaces. And I'm not explaining it very well, but I also don't play it very well. Hannah's sister, Rachel, loves this game, and we've played it several times together. So I think she's much better at it than I am. That sort of tactical, spatial game is not my forte, but I do really like it. So anyway, it's Hive Pocket. Plus, it's weatherproof. You can take it to the beach. You can take it out in the mountains. You can play it in the grass. You can play it in the dirt. It's great. Great, big, chunky acrylic tiles. So anyway, that's Hive Pocket. Number 14 was Wits and Wagers. It's Vegas, baby. Now, when we had 10 people here for that game night, I was really, really bummed that I didn't have a copy of Wits and Wagers, and my friends who had that game didn't have access to it, so they couldn't bring it that game night, and I was so upset because I remember, even though I think I had only played Wits and Wagers like one time in the past, I remember really liking it, and it's a great game for a big group like this. The basic premise, and then I went and got my own copy of the Vegas edition. We played it last month. The basic premise is you get some sort of weird trivia question, and you're not supposed to know the answer. It's some sort of very vague or esoteric, bizarre thing, like how many calories does chewing gum burn per hour, okay? Then everyone's gonna put their guess on a little whiteboard thing, and you're gonna lay it out from lowest to highest, and then the wagers part of the game is you bet, points, money, whatever, on the answer that you think is right. And if you're right, you get, your money back. And if it's toward the end, you get like 5-1 back. If it's toward the middle, you get like 2-1 back. It's very, very simple premise. It's wits and it's wagers. It's trivia plus betting on, and it doesn't have to be your answer that you bet on. It could be somebody else's too, but yeah, that's it. And whoever has the most points at the end of 7 rounds wins. Very simple. Number 13 was Trekking Through History. Now, I just reviewed this game on my channel. It's the last video I made before this one, so you can check that out if you'd like. But Trekking Through History is a very light family game. I actually taught it to my dad last month, and he liked it more than he thought he would. I think he was worried it was going to be a little bit on the complex side, but it's really not. So on your turn, all you do is pick one of these cards which represent events in the past or famous people you can meet or, groundbreaking inventions and things, and add it to your trek as you go back in time and relive these momentous events. As you do that, you're going to gain these tokens. These tokens go on your personal board to score you points. Each event thing that you do costs you time, which is going to move you along this clock, which determines play order. Turn order, and how many turns you get that round. Anyway, 3 rounds, you travel back in time, you get cards, and the best part about this game, as I mentioned in my review, is the back of each card tells you all about that event. So breaking the sound barrier with Chuck Yeager, you can learn about that, right? The year it happened, and then some context about that. I love a game where you learn something as you play, and that, in my book, ranks or helps Trekking Through History rank so much higher in my games that I've played because you learn as you do it. It's educational. I love that in games. Number 12 was Ink and Gold, and I suspect that Ink and Gold is as high as it is in my monthly recap list because I actually just played it the other night with Rachel and Robbie and Hannah, and we were down here and I had the lights out, like just the lamp on. It was dark and we had some Indiana Jones music playing, and the theme, the setting, the immersion was so much fun. It was great. So maybe I'm just remembering Ink and Gold being, extra fun because of that recent experience I had. But anyways, Ink and Gold, it's for 3 to 8 players. It plays best with more players. I've played it with 10 players in the past. Basically, this is just a push your luck game. So the basic premise is you are exploring this temple, and as you go in, you're going to flip cards over that are going to give you gems. Now, if there's 8 people in the temple and you flip over 16 gems, did I say 8 people? Everybody gets 2 gems, right? But I can't find the cards here. But along the way, you're also going to come across hazards like falling rocks or spiders or fire. And if you ever get a match of those dangers, like if another falling rocks comes out, you lose all the gems you have for that round. So eventually you want to drop out, take your gems and put them in your tent, and you can watch from the sidelines. What that means for everybody else is, let's say you started with 8 explorers, right? As people drop out, let's say there's only 2 people left and a 15 comes up, right? That's 7 gems for each of us, and the one left over goes on the card, right? So the longer you stay in, the higher the reward, but the much higher the risk is. So it's a great push your luck game. Ink and Gold is like an absolute staple. I feel like it should be in everybody's collection because it's such a perfect pure push your luck game that anyone can understand. Again, another game that I've played with kids probably as young as 5 maybe can understand this game, to an extent. So anyway, Ink and Gold, really good game. Number 11 was Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I played this game down here with my friends Ryan and Kyle, and I played the original Terraforming Mars years ago one time, and I remember not really liking it. It was so long. I don't know if the teach was great. I felt like I didn't really understand what I was doing, but it was also early in my gaming, career. So maybe I'd like it more now. But what I do know is that I think I greatly prefer this Ares Expedition version. It's so much quicker. It's streamlined. It's got this wonderful action following mechanism like Puerto Rico and some other games have used, where basically, each round there's like 5 phases, right? And you're gonna pick which phase you want to do, right? And when that phase activates, everybody gets to do that phase, but you, as the person who picked that phase, you get a special bonus, a special benefit. So I'm so bad at finding pictures on here, but anyways, and then throughout the course of the game, you're going to be building these technologies and tools and, resource generating things that's going to help you build your credits, which is money in this game, and oxygen and heat and green verdancy or whatever. And that's going to help terraform Mars. Oh, and you're also making oceans on the planet. And eventually, once the planet is fully terraformed, you're going to add up the points and see who won. So I didn't explain that terribly well, but it's got a lot of interesting mechanisms, and it's basically everything I liked about Terraforming Mars boiled down into a smaller, quicker package. It says 45 to 60 minutes, maybe a little bit longer than that, but yeah, it's really, really good. It's a big step up in my eyes compared to the original Terraforming Mars. Number 10 was Sagrada. Now, this is a game that I hadn't played for a while, but we got it back out last month with my dad and Hannah, and I remember just how good this game is. It's a dice drafting game where you're gonna be taking these dice and placing it in your window like this while meeting the constraints like, oh gosh, for example, right, this has to be a 4, this has to be green, this has to be blue. You get the gist. So you're drafting the dice to put them in your window, and the goal is to fully complete your window and score lots of points. Now there's cards that are going to tell you what you're going to score for. For example, having a row of all different colors is going to give you 6 points. Column shade variety, diagonals, things like that. Plus, you've got your own personal color that you're trying to get lots of high value dice of that color. And there's also tools. Each game, you'll have 3 different tools that let you mitigate your dice, like flipping them over to the other side or re-roll them or something like that. But it's 10 rounds, you draft dice, you put them in your window, and you score points at the end. And this game always goes so much faster than I think it's going to. And it's just a lot of fun. And there's so much player interaction because you're drafting, and seeing what other people are going for. It's got everything I like. I've reviewed Sagrada on my channel a long time ago. It's one of my most played games, but I love Sagrada. Number 9, speaking of old classics, was Azul, another game that's been sitting on my shelf for so long, but I busted it out after we played Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. We had some time because it's a shorter game, and we played Azul, and it was great. I taught Kyle, my friend, and yeah, it's just such an easy game to teach. The scoring is always a little bit clunky to teach people, but if they can get over that, they're gonna have a blast with Azul. Basically, this is similar to Sagrada in that it's a tile drafting game. So you've got these tiles in the middle of the table, and you're gonna take a set of tiles and put them on your board, okay? First, they go on the left side. When you fill the left side, you get to move one of those tiles over to the right side. This is your completed board. And you're gonna score for adjacencies, you're gonna score for completing, as you can see here, rows and columns. And if you get all 5 of the same type of tile, you get 10 points, stuff like that. So it's tile drafting. It's really fun. It can be very cutthroat if you want it to be. If you see that somebody's going for their 5th, black tile, you can, we call it hate drafting. You can draft it just to screw them up. So Azul is an absolute classic. It's been around for 7 years at this point, but it's a really good game. And I'd kind of forgotten how great the original is, although there's sequels too that are equally, if not even better. But Azul is a great classic, family weight casual game. Number 8 was Splendor. So we're really hitting the MVPs of my collection. Splendor is by far my most played game ever in my collection, although Ink and Gold's getting pretty close, and Sagrada's pretty close too. Splendor is a game that took my family by storm during the COVID pandemic when we were trapped inside and only interacting with our family members. We played Splendor constantly, and as I've said many times on this channel, my sister and my dad for a while were playing 3 games a day back to back to back. They got so into Splendor, and it's always such a fun time to play this again with my family. My dad was over and we played Splendor. And it's such a good game. So on your turn, you're going to usually take some of these gems. You're going to use those gems to buy these cards. When you get a card, like let's say I bought this one right here for 3 white gems, 3 green gems, and 2 black gems. First of all, it's going to give me a point, but it's also going to reduce the cost of future cards by 1 black gem, right? It's like a discount. It's so good. That's such a basic, inherently satisfying principle where cards that used to cost you 8 gems now only cost you 2 gems or something like that. So it's great. It's called an engine building game, tableau building game, basically. And Splendor is phenomenal. It's such a great game. It's 10 years old at this point, but it's brilliant. There's also Splendor Duel, which I have somewhere around here, which is also very good, but I haven't played it in a while. So Splendor is amazing. I reviewed Splendor ages ago. You can watch that if you're interested. Number 7 takes us back into the current decade with a game called Sea, Salt, and Paper. This has been such a wonderful discovery for me as of late. Sea, Salt, and Paper is in a tiny box like yay big, and it's full of these beautiful cards with this gorgeous origami illustration. These are photographs of actual origami, if I understand correctly, and they're beautiful. I love the art on here. It's great. Got crabs and boats and sharks and penguins and octopi. It's lovely. Anyway, this is a game for 2 to 4 players, I believe, yes. And on your turn, you're going to take a card and add it to your hand. And if you have matching cards, certain matching cards have a action that you can do, like draw a card from the top of the deck, or take another turn, or fish through a discard pile for a card that you need, or things like that. Some of them just give you points for collecting a whole bunch of shells, or again, octopi or penguins. Some of them score points for each penguin card that you have, like this card. So anyway, you go through and you play. Oh, and the colors are really important too, because mermaids score you points based on the number of cards that you have of a certain set. Like if I have 8 blue cards and I have a mermaid, mermaid scores me 8 points, which is a lot in this game. So you play until somebody triggers the end of the round. You see how many points you have. You write down the score. You play another round, so on and so forth, till you hit a certain number of points. So It's basically a very simple kind of card drafting game, I suppose. Hannah and I love this at 2 players. It does go a little long with more players. We've found it just tends to stretch a little too long, but we love it at 2. So Seesaw on Paper, beautiful, very simple, lovely game. Number 6 was Shifting Stones, another one of my recent obsessions. I have no idea why it's only got 6.5 out of 10 on BGG. It is so simple, it's so intuitive. I reviewed this game on my channel recently as well. One of my criteria when I review games is called intuitive mechanics, and I must have given this a 10 or maybe a 9.5 out of 10 because it is just so simple. On your turn, you're going to play cards to move these tiles around. You're going to flip them and shift them and slide them around in order to try to complete these pattern cards that you have. So you might have a card that looks like, oh my gosh, what? Okay, here we go. Like this. So you need a red tile in the center of the board, or you need a red and a something and a red, or you need this specific arrangement. And yeah, you're just moving these 9 tiles around to make it match your pattern cards, and you score points based on that. It's so simple. It's so easy to teach. It does not outstay its welcome. It's a 20 minute game maybe, ages 8 and up, very low weight, very low complexity, but it's still so fun, so replayable. I love Shifting Stones. Fantastic game. It should be definitely higher in my mind than a 6.5 out of 10. Number 5 was a game called Mycelia. Now I've got to review this on the channel very soon because it has been such a hit with everybody I've showed it to. We played this for the first time at, was it PAX Unplugged, I think? And it was an instant hit with like my gamer friends, Gary and Connor, like the heavy Euro guys. We really got a kick out of Mycelia. Connor bought a copy at the convention, and then Ravensburger sent me a copy, and I showed it to Hannah, and she loves this game. I've introduced it to casual gamers, and they really like this game. If you like adorable art or a nature-themed game or kind of a racing game where you're racing to finish an objective game, this might hit all of those boxes for you. It's also a deck builder, which is great. That's such a satisfying, inherently enjoyable genre of games. But basically what you're going to do in Mycelia is you're going to start with a board like this with 20 dewdrops on it. All you got to do to win the game is be the first one to move these dewdrops off of your board. You got to get them into this portal and out of your life. And you're going to be doing that using these adorable mushroom cards. So you start with these 6 cards. These are going to give you leaves, which are the currency of this game to help get you better cards. And as you can see, different mushrooms let you move different dewdrops around your board, okay? And as you get better and better cards, you'll be able to do that more effectively, more efficiently. And yeah, you get them into the portal. They go from the portal, by the way, onto this wheel thing, just so you know. And that's the whole game. But there's so many different cards to explore and try out. As you can see in this picture, lots and lots of cards that do different abilities. And I like, by the way, that Mycelia comes with like the beginner or first game variant, which kind of streamlines the deck to just the basic cards and basic techniques, basically. And then when you're ready, you can add in the more slightly complex cards with extra cool abilities and things like that. So, it's a very simple game, but if you want to add that extra level, you definitely can. It's ages 9 and up, 1.82 complexity, very simple game, but oddly still very satisfying and still very engaging and interesting for, people like me who are big strategy gamers. So check out Mycelia. It's very, very good. All right, so we're getting into the games that I really, really liked from last month. And this is number 4, which is a surprise to me because honestly, it was one of the least memorable games I played last month, but maybe because I had never heard of it before I played it. And it's not like Splendor that I've played like 300 times. So this is a game called Starship Captains. Again, totally flew under my radar. I didn't know anything about this game. And to be honest, this is not the kind of game that I would think I would enjoy based on the theme. I'm not like a big space theme. I don't know anything about Star Trek, the cartoony sort of art. To me, this did not seem very compelling, but much to my surprise, I think the general consensus was we all really liked this game more than we thought we were going to. The basic premise of this game is that it's based on Star Trek basically. So you take command of this ship, and each turn or each round, you're going to have a certain pool of available workers. And when you use them, they go to this kind of discard pile or discard queue, and they're going to work their way back into your pool. And then on your turn, you're going to use your workers to activate different actions like moving your ship or attacking pirates or upgrading your ship or repairing your ship, things like that. A big part of this game is traveling around on this map like so. So here's your ship, and you are going to fly over here to attack pirates to get some sort of reward or bounty or something. You might come here to complete a mission like Prototypenball or something like that, right? These are German, I see now. And so here's a mission card. Ideally, you'll have a blue worker and a red worker to get a reputation or something like that, and maybe you get to attack a pirate ship adjacent to that space, and you're doing all sorts of, interstellar activities. Throughout the course of the game, you can also upgrade your workers to make them into, I forget what the term is, captains or something that makes them stronger. And you're going to collect I forget what these are called, supply crates or something that can help you out with the game, help you maybe purchase new upgrades, which I don't know if I can find an upgrade card to show you. But anyway, there's things that kind of help you, travel faster or do more damage or things like that. So anyway, I'm not pitching it very well. And again, I don't remember a ton about it, but I do remember that we really, really liked Starship Captains. Again, much to my surprise. So if, like me, this was not a game on your radar, you might want to check it out and see if it will be up your alley. Number 3 is a campaign game that we're currently working through, and I'm actually going to play it tonight, and it's called Divinus. Now, this game just came out earlier this year, and it's a game in which you play as this hero, I suppose, and you're trying to curry favor with either the Norse pantheon or the Greek pantheon, which is really interesting. So as you complete quests or recruit lots of Vikings or whatever, you're going to kind of gain favor with these different gods, and that'll kind of progress the storyline in a certain way. This is an app-driven game, so we do use an iPad to keep track of who's completing quests and winning each round as we go, but essentially this game boils down to tile drafting. So you're going to use your dice to either add them together or subtract them to claim tiles from the market, basically. So you use the 2 to grab that 2 tile, or 2 plus 2 to grab the 4 tile, and you're going to take them and place them into your tableau like this. And you're trying to make a cohesive planet and collect Viking helmets or barbarian shields or things like that, and that represents kind of alliance or recruitment, I suppose. Anyway, doing that's going to give you certain trinkets or abilities, right? Or it's going to help you complete objectives for each round. And each game you have different gods that are looking for different things, like the biggest mountain range or the most number of bodies of water or things like that. So you track them in the app, and then at the end of the game, you'll kind of log who completed these different quests, and then you'll see who the winner is. Anyway, it's got mixed reviews from what I understand from the gaming community. Also, within the 4 of us playing the campaign game, it's gotten mixed reviews. We're having some issues with the rule book. There's been a lot of ambiguities, and unfortunately, I wish the rule book was designed better. But even with all that said, I do really love tile drafting. It's kind of the same as Glenmore Chronicles has the same idea. And yeah, as I was ranking these 20 games, I kept ranking it higher than a lot of these other games, and to my surprise, it came out number 3. So yeah, it's Divinus. It's worth checking out if you are not opposed to app-driven games and campaign, legacy type games. It's probably worth checking out. All right, number 2 is a game that I played for the first time last month, and I immediately, absolutely resonated with this game, and it's going to be way up high in my top 50 games whenever I do that ranking again, and it's called La Granja Deluxe Master Set from published by Board and Dice. So they took this game that was 10 years old, I believe, and made like a totally ridiculously like Eagle Griffin style super deluxe version of it, and it is so beautiful and it is so nice. And it's got so many things that I love in games. So essentially you're playing as a farmer and you're expanding your granja, your farm, I think, and you're going to be drafting dice. So at the beginning of each round, you roll a whole bunch of dice and place them here in their corresponding slots. And as you take them, you might get a pig, or you might get money, or you might get some olives or grapes that you can turn into wine and oil and things like that. You might get a donkey, right? Or you might take a little siesta, take a little rest. And I love there's this interesting turn order mechanism, which is all based on taking naps, right? Siestas, which is going to move you up potentially the turn order. So that's the absolute macro version of the game teach, but there's so much more going on. There's area majority here. There's objective things that you need to complete around the board at these different trading houses. There's these fantastic multi-use cards. Each card, I believe, has 4 different ways you can use them, as orders to fulfill, as farm, resources, as income on the right side, and as passive or ongoing abilities on the bottom. It's so ridiculous. There's so much happening. And beyond that, I think we played it twice last month. There's these modules you can add. So there's like the senoritas, if I remember right, that give you an asymmetric player ability. And there's buildings you can build that make the area control more interesting. And there's these extra siesta tokens you can add. And we added all 3 of those things, if not more. And it just makes the game so much more immersive and huge to explore. So La Granja is phenomenally produced. It is such a good game. It is one of my favorite games, I think, and the second favorite game I played last month. And finally, my favorite game that I played last month, much to my surprise, I have to say, was Everdell. Out of all of those 20 games, this one came out at number 1. Now, Everdell is a game that I've had in my collection for years, and I've always known that I really like this game. Hannah and I really enjoy playing it together. I've played it with many, many friends. It's such a popular game, so I've had many opportunities to play it, but I wouldn't have thought that it would be my favorite game out of all 20 of those games. But lately, I have been rediscovering Everdell. The company sent me New Leaf and Mistwood recently, so I've been kind of incorporating that with the game, and it's really made me fall back in love with Everdell. It's got so much nuance and added elements by adding some of those expansions, and just by being able to teach it to some new players. I taught it to Rachel and Robbie and Sarah recently, so and getting to witness how much they enjoy it, it makes it more fun for me too. So Everdell is an amazing game. It's a worker placement tableau building game set in this beautiful world. And if nothing else, the art and the world building by Andrew Bosley is what, really compels people, I think, to love this game at first sight. You're building a city and you're attracting, well, first of all, you're going to build clock towers and schools and monasteries and fairgrounds, and that's going to attract teachers and fools and historians into your city. And the art, again, is just fantastic. You've got these little animal meeples that you'll be using to put out on the board to collect resources, to draw more cards, things like that. There's events that you're going to accomplish. There's special events as well. There's a lot going on in this game, as you can tell. But at the end of the day, it's worker placement. On your turn, you're going to place a worker, or you're going to play a card by paying the cost, or you're going to pass and go into the next season. And once you've gone through 3 seasons, or 4, I guess, the game ends. And it is just absolutely lovely. It's so great. Everdell is, one of those evergreen games that, for as long as I've had it, it still surprises me and entertains me and thrills me. It's a great game. And again, the expansions just add so much more to it. So I do have a lot of Everdell content that I need to get done because they sent me those expansions quite a while ago. So I'll be reviewing New Leaf and Mistwood and My Little Everdell and Far Shore as well. So coming up soon, one of these months is going to have to be an Everdell month. We'll talk about all this amazing Everdell content. But my number 1 game I played last month was Everdell. And there you have it. Those are all of the games that I played last month. Now, full disclosure, if I'm being perfectly honest, I haven't done videos in a little bit, and it was kind of hard to get back into it. So I thought I'll ease back into it with a really easy, review of all the games I played last month. And I was even thinking the thumbnail would be 20 games reviewed in 10 minutes like Tom Vassell does. Needless to say, based on it being 4 o'clock, that did not happen. So I don't know why it's so hard for me to keep things short and sweet and concise, but in my mind, I was going to review 20 games in 10 minutes or less, but that just isn't the way things go on this channel. But thank you so much for bearing with me if you're still here. I cannot believe that you've listened to me talk about board games for this long, but I promise to have much shorter and concise videos in the future. But anyway, thank you for sticking around. Thank you so much for your support always. It means so much that, you know, there's so many subscribers to the channel that engage and like the videos and comment on the videos and all those wonderful things. I am still responding to every comment, I believe, on my videos. So if you want to leave a comment and say hi, I would love that so much. So anyways, that's it for today. I thank you for sticking around. And in the meantime, have a wonderful week. Take care and happy gaming. See you soon. Bye.